What up? Peace, Giant fans. Well, first thing I'm gonna say, tough loss today. Tough loss. Um, sorry I haven't put out no content in a couple of weeks since the season started. I just been trying to get a like a landscape of what's going on. And see exactly, what direction the Giants were moving in. First, I want to say, if you like this video, please subscribe. We need more viewers. And with more viewers, I put out more content. I do this for free. I don't do it asking for money, selling merchandise. No knock against the people that are doing it, but I just do this for fun, man. And I do this for the love of New York sports. And I just want some, I just want some support. So if you like this video, like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, leave comments, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. First, I don't know what to hit first. I think if you have to go with anything, missing that extra point was big. But it looked like the defense. I mean, I know we had some injuries. I think Javon Allen had a hamstring. Paulson Debo had a knee. And then it also looked like we stopped being aggressive. I've been saying it since last year, that I felt Shane Bowen needed to go. I just don't feel his play calling style suits the players that we have. And I don't feel that I just don't feel he's the right coach for this team, defensive wise. I said all along last year when the Jets fired Robert Saleh, do not let him go back to San Francisco. I said that. And we let him go back to San Francisco. I don't even think we contacted Robert Saleh, which is crazy. But, Shane Bowen is here. I don't know who you bring in as a defensive coordinator for him. I just feel Shane Bowen has got to go. I'm not too upset with the Giants losing to the Broncos. I'm not going to lie. I turned the game off when it was 25-8. I was like, it's over. The Broncos couldn't move the ball. The Giants were getting the ball back after the Broncos just scored. But I was like, nah, this is over. Jackson Dart gets pressured. He throws an interception, which you can't do. But this hangs on the defense, bro. Deonte Banks got burned. He also gave up the touchdown pass to Franklin off the rebound, off the tip, by Cordell Flott. I don't know. I've been talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, oh, we need a wide receiver. We need a wide receiver. We need a wide receiver. I think the Giants are fine, really. I think this is an opportunity that they can use a lot of 2 tight end sets with Bellinger and Theo Johnson and work the middle of the field, and let Wandell do his crossing things and go from there. I don't think they have to panic and get another wide receiver. I was reading today where they said that the Dolphins aren't interested in trading Jalen Waddle, which is good to hear. Because I don't want the Giants to get an older receiver. I like Jacoby Myers, but Jacoby Myers is an older receiver, and he's going to be looking to get paid. Chris Olave is small. Wan'Dale Robinson is bigger than Chris Olave. You know, Chris Olave is like 190, 185 pounds, maybe 190. Wandell Robinson is just as big as that, you know. Jalen Hyatt is just as big as that. I just think they need to give Jalen Hyatt some burn, man. I've been saying that since last year. Give the dude some burn. If he can't produce, then trade him. But having him sitting on the bench and for nothing doesn't make any sense. But let's do things in order. I think the offensive line played extremely well. Especially John Michael Schmitz wasn't there, so Schlottman was in there, and they basically handled the interior of Denver's defense. Allen, you know, who's a dominant defensive lineman, defensive tackle. Nick Benito, Cooper. They were really quiet. And the Giants handled them from an offensive line standpoint. Jackson Dart threw a big interception late in the game. Makatami missed the extra point, which probably would have sent us to overtime and anything could happen. But it all boils down to the defense. I mean, the offense did their job. If you put up 28 points in a game, you should win that game, bro. You should win that game. The defense didn't uphold their end of the bargain. And I know a lot of people are talking about Dexter Lawrence, and they're saying Dexter Lawrence isn't playing well. Dexter Lawrence is doing enough. I don't think he's back fully from that dislocated elbow. And let me tell you from a basketball standpoint, because, I've played ball. I didn't play football like I tell y'all, but I played ball. When you play a sport, you would rather have a clean break, in my opinion, than a dislocation, because a dislocation could pop out at any time. And I think that's what Dex is dealing with. I think that's still in his mind. Like, when is this shit going to pop out? Can I go as hard? Because Dexter Lawrence was on a tear last season before that dislocated elbow. I think he had like 8 sacks or some crazy nonsense like that for an interior defensive lineman. That's unheard of. But as fast as he was doing it. But I think this dislocated elbow is really, I'm not saying he's not going hard, but you expect a little bit more from Dex. And I think as a whole, I think the defensive play calling was just, When you have a team down 25-8, you got to put your foot on their neck and just cancel them. And the Giants didn't do that today. If y'all remember all my mock drafts last year, what was I doing? Andres Borregales from the University of Michigan, kicker. That was in all my mock drafts, bro. Now we see it. You know what I mean? You can't rely on Graham Gano. He's old. He's breaking down. I was saying that last season when he had the groin for like 9 weeks or some nonsense like that. You can't rely on Graham Gano. Then you're bringing in Jude Makatami. This clown can't even kick extra points. He doesn't even do kickoffs. Jamie Gillen does the kickoffs, and he's the punter. The Giants don't put a premium on offensive linemen, and they don't put a premium on kickers. We need a kicker that's good, that could be here for the next 10 to 15 years, and we don't have to worry about him. Period. And that's what we have to do. I'm looking at Dominic Zavada from Michigan. He's a good kicker. He's accurate. He plays in Michigan, so he kicks in bad weather. And New York is an open stadium. So that's the guy I'm looking at. But they got the Giants have a lot of questions they got to answer. Um, you know, what are they going to do with Kayvon Thibodeau? Me personally, do not trade that man. That doesn't make any sense. You trade Kayvon Thibodeau, and then you're going to turn around and be looking for a backup edge rusher. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Kayvon Thibodeau is bigger. He's stronger. There's times where he's playing interior defensive line, and they have Abdul Carter and Brian Burns on the outside. I'm not saying you could do that against everybody, but you do not. I don't trade Kayvon Thibodeau, bro. I don't trade him. And I think the Giants are building something, and I think Kayvon wants to stay. As long as the Giants don't lowball him, I think he'll want to stay here. And I say you re-sign Kayvon. I mean, so what? You got edge rushers. You know how many teams would wish they had the so-called problem that the Giants have? Oh my God, the Giants have 3 edge rushers. We need to trade one of them. What sense does that make? Then if one of them gets hurt, they're going to be walking around talking about, what are we going to do? Be smart. Be smart. Also, I think Jackson Dart, a lot of y'all wasn't on Jackson Dart. Okay. I watched Jackson Dart play at Ole Miss. I watched Jackson Dart play with Trey Harris, Juice Wells, Prickson at tight end. Ole Miss had a bomb squad last year. So I watched Jackson Dart play. A lot of y'all wasn't sold on Jackson Dart. Oh, who is this? I want Shador. I want Shador. Now all of y'all are drinking the Jackson Dart Kool-Aid. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. I think Jackson Dart is the quarterback for the future for the Giants. I think they hit a home run there. I think they're good at that position. Losing Malik Neighbors hurts. Do the Giants go and get another wide receiver? In my opinion, they should. But as I stated before, I don't want Chris Olave. I don't want Jacoby Myers. If there's a guy that I go in after and get, it's 2. The first guy is Adonai Mitchell. He's not playing for the Colts. He's been a healthy scratch for like 4 games. Adonai Mitchell is 6'2", 205, 210 pounds, runs a 4.4. Adonai Mitchell is a player, and he could burn. He got speed. Another guy that I like is Trey Harris, Jackson Dart's number 1 receiver when he was at Ole Miss. Trey Harris is 6'2". Trey Harris has ties with Jackson Dart. Obviously, they played at Ole Miss. He also has ties with Malik Neighbors. He was Malik Neighbors' quarterback in high school. So if you throw in a Deontay Banks and maybe a 6th-round pick, can you get Trey Harris? I think so. And I would do it. And that would give Jackson Dart that comfort zone where he knows he could throw it to a guy and he can go get it. And he could throw it to a dude and be confident that that dude can catch it. He threw a rocket to Wan'Dale Robinson and it hit him and bounced right off. Luckily, Theo Johnson was there, took it in and ran it and took it to the house for a touchdown. But that would have been Dart's second interception. That one wouldn't have been his fault, but that still would have been his second interception. Trey Harris, good hands. Good hands. And all of y'all that were talking this Darius Slayton shit, I hope all of y'all are starting to see that now. Darius Slayton has led the NFL in drops 2 of the last 3 years. And you talking about he's a number 2? and he's making $13 million a year, nigga, please get him the fuck out of here, bro. Get him out of here. Darius Slayton is trash. He's always been trash. He's a third string receiver at best. The Giants are trying to play him like he's a number 2. He's ass. Get him out of here, bro. Anybody that'll take Darius Slayton, trade him. I understand he's, locker room and all of that. Darius Slayton is ass, bro. You know what I mean? He does nothing but drop balls. I think the only player that drops more passes than him is Jerry Jeudy on the Cleveland Browns. Like, seriously? So, that's my rant. I wanted to say sorry to my Yankee fans out there. We couldn't get it done again this year. Hopefully next year, we're starting to start the NBA season. The Knicks are going to be coming up. They're looking good. They got a lot of people hurt though. They got to get healthy. But the Giants will be all right. I think the culture is different. I think the energy is different. The vibe is different. And I think Brian Dable will be back. And that's his quarterback. So, Jackson Dart is doing his thing, man. So, we'll see what happens next week at Philly. That's going to be a tough game. Philly won a tough game in Minnesota. So, and they're going to be looking for some get back with the Giants. The Giants hung 34 up on them 2 weeks ago. So they're definitely going to be looking for some get back. Jalen Carter's back. AJ Brown and Smitty bowled out today. So they didn't even need Saquon, and that's what's crazy. You talk about, you got 2 receivers going ham and probably the best running back in the NFL. He had 40 yards? And he was just like chilling. You know what I mean? So the Giants are going to have their hands full next week, definitely. But they lost a heartbreaker. I'm already looking at mock drafts for next season. I'm looking at Jordan Tyson from USC. I'm looking at Makai Lemon. Jordan Tyson is from Arizona State. Makai Lemon is from USC. I'm not really big on Cornell Tate. I like Chris Bell from Louisville, 6'2", 215, 220, runs a 4.3, 4.4. I like Nick Harbor from South Carolina. He's 6'5", like 230, runs like a 4.3. That's bananas. So the Giants could do some damage. I've been working some mock drafts where I've traded the first round pick to Houston and got their 2 second-round picks, their 3rd round pick, and their 4th round pick, and a 6 and 7 for next season. And I was able to parlay that. I'll show you later. I was able to parlay that into getting the 1st round pick back with the draft capital we was able to acquire. But, the draft is still fluctuating because teams are still winning, losing games and stuff like that. But, it looks like the Giants will have a top 10 pick. I also ran simulations where we took Francis Mawaja, the offensive tackle from Miami, and then Connor Liu with the center with our 2nd round pick to solidify that line. So, it's some things we could do. And it's some things I'm looking at in the draft, trying to manipulate it and see what I can do. I'll be having some mock draft presentations later. But, this one was rough. We lost one that was there. It was there for the taking. And, that's going to be a hard loss, especially going to Philly now. Yeah, it's gonna be rough, man. But we'll see what happens. But I mean, if you look at what the Giants are doing, I mean, they're scoring, bro. They're scoring. I mean, they didn't score 20 against Washington, but they scored 20 plus against Dallas, 20 plus against the Chargers. I think they scored 20 plus against the Saints or close to it. I think it was like 19 or something. They didn't score 20 plus against the Chiefs. They scored 20 plus today against Denver. I mean, the offense ain't a problem, bro. The offense ain't a problem. And Jackson Dart is moving the ball. Him and Cam Scatterbo and Wandell Robinson and Theo Johnson, you can say whatever you want about them boys, but they're moving the ball. They are moving the ball. And I think he had a 90-yard drive. I think it ended in a field goal or something like that. But, I mean, come on. When was the last time the Giants offense did that? So, I mean, we got some things we could be proud of, but we also got some things we got to work on. And if I'm Brian Daboll, I'm firing Shane Bowen. If you got to promote Marquand Manuel, so be it. Whoever, I'm firing Shane Bowen, bro. And if I'm Joe Shane, I'm going to get Trey Harris. Period. Now, you talk about a young receiver still on his rookie deal. You ain't got to worry about him for 3 years, bro. 3 to 4 years, you ain't got to worry about him. That's what you need. You don't need another retread. Jalen Waddle would have been fine because I think he's under contract until 2029 or something like that. But, Miami said they're not looking to trade him, and that's fine. I wouldn't touch Chris Olave because of the injury concerns, the concussions. I like Jacoby Myers. I love his hands. I love his route running, but he's almost 30 years old, bro. And does he fit in that youth movement that the Giants got going on right now? I don't think so. I think you get a guy like Adonai Mitchell or you get a guy like Trey Harris. So we'll see what they do. The trading deadline is November 4th. So we'll see what they do, if anything. But it's looking up. It's looking up. Don't hang your heads, Giant fans. Don't be down. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. This is what happens when you have a young team, bro. This is what happens when you have a young quarterback. It's going to be ups and downs. It's going to be good games. It's going to be bad games. It's not going to be peaches and cream every time. You got to fight through it. And the Giants, I feel, will fight through it. I think they got the team that'll fight through it. And they'll look good in the end and be on top. So that's about it. That's my time. I want to say peace. Thanks to y'all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment. I'll get back to you. And we'll be back next week, I promise, for the Philly game, and we'll talk about that. But this one was a tough pill to swallow, but we'll be all right. All right, I love y'all. All right, peace again. I'm out.